Hey everyone, and welcome to module 9 of this Django course. In this module, we will be working with images and files using a package called Pillow. So let's not waste any time, let's jump straight into it. Okay, so my screen is open on GitHub once more. This is the repository of the project. Link to it is in the description below. Whilst you're there, please like this video and drop me a comment, and also subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you're notified every time I add a video to the channel. So this is GitHub. What I need you to do, if you've been following along, you'll know this already. You need to click on main and look at the branches and just follow it down until you find module 9. Then when in 9, click on steps, find module 9 in here. Where is it? At the bottom here. Happy days. This is the markdown for today's module. Now I won't be looking at GitHub, I'll be looking in VS Code. So I will look at steps, module 9, and I'll look at preview and close that down. Here we go. Right. So like I always say at the start of these videos, each of the modules has a start configuration of your directory and a finish. So just make sure you're on the same page. I always say it every video. I think it's really, really important. Just make sure that you've got the same configuration that I've got here. Okay. So if you haven't, just pull down from module 9 in GitHub repository and you'll be all good to go. So in terms of a terminal, just open up a new terminal, CD to your root directory, which is this here for me, fire up a virtual environment. You should know what you're doing by now. If you don't, look at module 1, just to work your way through until you do know. So let's continue building out our user profile. Understanding how to work with images is an essential skill in web development. In this module, we will be adding an image file to our user profile so our users can add an avatar. When adding functionality, I normally take this approach, which I do, right? So I look at requirements. So is there a package that I can use? Can I install it? So I install it with a package manager, the settings and whatnot, and all the gubbins that are required to get that package up and running. Then I add or tweak the models. Then I create the forms or change the forms. Then I change the views, wire up the URLs if necessary, work on the templates, and then worry about the static files. That's the kind of order in which I make an adjustment, okay, refactoring. Whether or not that's the way you do it is up to you, but that's the way I look at it, right? So let's go ahead and install Pillow. And then what we'll do, we will pip freeze to requirements. So if we look at requirements now, we should see Pillow 9.2. Happy days. Okay, Pillow is a package, so we will be installing a package called Pillow. There's a whole bunch of handy tools to help us manage images. Okay, so use the following command to pip to install Pillow. Right, so that's what we use in Pillow. Right, so we can tinker with JPEGs and PNGs and things like that. So it opens up a whole bunch of functionality that we can now use in our project. Use Pillow quite a lot. So let's tweak our models file. So let's go in here. Where are we? No, that is the right one. To be honest, you don't really need to. You probably can add the avatar field here. We've got an import Pillow probably somewhere. It's besides the point, right? Okay, so just take this whole piece of code, go into models and users, Control A, Control V, Control S. Okay, and that has gone and it's added the avatar here. Can you see that? So it's got a few other bits. So it's models.imageField. So you can only have the image field if you have Pillow installed. Default avatar.jpg. Well, remember when we first installed module 1, we had these images. Well, that's the default avatar. Okay, so that's why we're saying in this image field, the default is default avatar. Now, if you didn't, you'd have to create an image, add it into media, and then name it something and make it the default. But because we've got it in the media file, we know we've got access to it, so that's what we're going to do. Upload to avatar. So what that will do is when a user creates an image against their user profile, it will upload that image into a directory called avatar in the media files directory. Okay, so that's how it will work. Null true, blank true. So they don't have to add an avatar. The default is there. It's up to them. Okay, so that's what we've now added it to model. So we've installed Pillow, added it requirements, changed our model. Now we want to go through and add something to our form. So, oh no, it's saying, so this is all part of the models, right? So you want to make the migrations and then migrate them. So just copy that, dump it down there. And what that will do is it will create the migrations in here, which is this one here. and it will migrate it across. So its dependencies is 0.0.01 initial. Okay, so this is the first one. This is where we created it. Now it's following on from that. So this is how Django migrates information to the database. And it's the operation we are migrating is we're adding a field to the user profile model. The name is called avatar and it's a models.imageField da 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 da. Okay, so that's what it's doing. That's what it's just done, should I say. Now we want to look at our form. So I'll take all this info, copy it. Oh, what am I doing there? Sorry, my apologies. If it happens again, I will just open up GitHub to make it less clunky. Right, copy that, close, don't need models open anymore. Don't need that open. So forms, Control A, Control V, Control S. And what have we done? Nothing there, nothing there. We have got a user profile form, so we've got the avatar forms.imageField required equals false. So we've just added a new field to the form and we've added that field into the fields in metadata. Okay, so now when it's rendered, we'll have a new field which will be an image field. Okay, next, that's the form. Now we want the views. So slight change to the views. It's not a big change, but I'm still going to copy the lot anyway. Control A, Control V, Control S. Now if we want to go to account, now the difference is this, right? Say no difference here. We're instantiating it with the user profile. The only difference is because we're passing through files now, the files won't be passed through in the post data. It gets passed through in files, so request.files. So we need to add files as an attribute equals request.files. That's the only difference with what we're doing here, okay? So although we pasted the whole views file in, that's all we're doing. The form is different. We're not just bringing in data, we're bringing in files. So that's what we're doing. Therefore, we now need to look at the template, okay? So look at accounts in the templates directory, which is now here. Again, users, account, Control A, Control V, Control S. What's happening? The form, yes, it's passing through post, so method equals post. We've now got an encrypt type. So inc type, it's a multi-part / form data. You need that if you're passing through files. Don't forget that, just add that in there, else it just won't work. Static files, okay, so we've got the static files and media files. Now create a new directory in your root called media files. New folder, media files, and just copy, paste them across. I'm sure when I was tinkering I'd done it automatically, but I had to explicitly do it in the tutorial. Anyway, because the way we wired it up, you need a media file. So that is where the avatar directory will be, and it'll be looking in here for the default avatar. Okay. And then now we've gone around. We can now visit account, and you should see the new avatar file. So it says here you should now be able to update the avatar with default choose button file. Okay, so if we go into, right, it is running, the local server is running. Update, right, okay, so now we've got this default, so if you click on that, that will be, yeah, brilliant, but it looks horrendous, right? So what I'm going to do is show you how to use a third-party library in the front end. Okay, so you can do a lot of stuff in Django. You can add classes, write your own CSS, but there's a whole bunch of packages and libraries that you can use, JavaScript-based libraries that you can use to make your web page look fantastic. Now, one of them that we're going to use today is, what is it called? It's called, I always forget this one. Come on, where is it? There we go, Craggy. Sorry, there's a link there. I could have just looked at it. I always forget what it's called. I use so many of them, but I use this for my avatars. So Django's got a lot of tricks up its sleeve, but there are areas that can be improved with your own bespoke code or by using third-party libraries that I just said. We've already installed Python Django packages such as Pillow and Django extensions. However, with some small adjustments, we can now also use front-end JavaScript libraries to rub some funk on our project. We will be using a library created by Craggy to improve the look and feel of our avatar field. For it to work correctly, we need to install a JavaScript library called jQuery. open up base HTML and replace the code with the following. Now I need to just be careful here. Is it user? Besides the point. Let's pick all of that up. Okay, so copy. Let's go into templates, base, Control A, Control V, Control S. Now, just need to make sure that this is going to work because we've got users, user info. Just looking at URLs. Yeah, user info. That's fine. That's going to work. Okay, so we're bringing in a library called jQuery, right? Okay, so jQuery is a fantastic JavaScript library that I use quite often in projects for a number of different reasons, because it's a dependency of other libraries for one, but also it allows you to AJAXify form submissions and things like that. So at the minute, all of our form submissions are done as default in Django, which is just like a synchronous form submission. So you post the data and then you need to reload the page. AJAX will allow us to AJAXify the form submission so that everything on the page updates asynchronously. So you don't need to reload the page. And if you click back, it goes back to the previous URL rather than the previous form submission. Okay, so AJAX is really, really good, and most modern websites use AJAX to asynchronously change different elements, such as shopping carts and things like that. It's really, really handy. We'll do not a deeper dive in this tutorial, but we'll be certainly adding some jQuery to the projects that we can actually see what a lot of it does. But we've brought in jQuery into our base HTML, which is good. Good, now we want to go into accounts and change it to this behemoth here. So let's go ahead and do that. Lots going on. So copy and go into users, go into account, Control A, Control V. Right, this is very different. Very, very different to what it was. Let's minimize this, reduce that. Does that look a bit better? Yeah, there we go. So we're still extended from base, except now we're using this block, extend head. Okay, so remember when I said in the base HTML we have all these blocks and you can inject code into certain areas of HTML. We're injecting this code into the header of the base. Make sense? So only this page is using and utilizing this code. All the other pages don't, because we haven't added it into the block. Okay, so block extend head is extending this here. So extend head. Does that make sense? So it's injecting the code into that block. Happy days. Oh. So we are using a CDN. So what's this? This is bringing in file input min.css. So we're bringing in some Bootstrap CSS specific for this. We're also bringing in icons from Bootstrap. So these are specific CSS packages that we need for Craggy. And then in the CSS, we're then adding some KV. So this is specific CSS from the Craggy website that will render that image field. It'll look gorgeous on the page. It really, really does look good. But these are just like different CSS elements here. So you can see we're referencing dot, which is a class kv-rec-d, and then saying color red and so on and so forth. So this is just CSS, right? End block. And then we've got extend foot. So this is code that's going into the foot of the base HTML. So it hasn't got to be in order, but this is the extend foot. So I'm adding the CSS and then the JavaScript. In the JavaScript, we're bringing in file input from Bootstrap, and then we're bringing in, so avatar URL, so request.user, UserProfile. So we can access requests no matter where we are in HTML, okay, because request is always in the context. So we are bringing through the URL of the avatar in the database. That's what this is doing. It's assigning it to a variable avatar URL. And this little safe filter renders it as a string. So it escapes it and then it renders it as a string. So that will then become the string path of where that URL is saved on my local machine. Okay. Then we're saving that to this variable. We're then saving a button to button crust. So don't worry about all of this. We're looking for the ID avatar, and then we've got this file input. So this is loads of settings I've got from Craggy. Don't worry too much. If you want to do a deeper dive, and by all means look at the library and just have a little tinker. But I'm just applying this library based off their documentation to our project. So it looks good. Okay, if you want to change it, change it. Allowed file extension, so we can send JPEGs, PNGs and GIFs. We can't send PDFs, right? Block content. So this is what we've changed from before. So this is the HTML change. H1 hasn't changed, but the form, we've got this now, which we had before. We've got a CSRF token, which we had before. But now we've got all of this going on. So when we had form.asp, that was when it was the way of rendering a form in a Django template as paragraphs. But now we want to do it manually because we're adding some Craggy specific HTML elements and classes so that it renders lovely. So that's why we've had to manually do that. And notice how on this paragraph label and form, rather than referencing form as P, I'm referencing form.telephone, which is the input in the form. So it's just a different way of getting around it. Okay, so we've got telephone address, so it'll look the same, but it's just we're working with it differently in HTML. But the important thing is this bit here. Look, we've got class, we've got text center, KV avatar. These are the classes that we need for the CSS. And then at the bottom here, you've got an error bit. Don't worry about that. Look, I've just used another library and I'm just showing you how to wire it in. Save it, back to this. Oh, that's it. Look. So now you'll be able to see the fruits of your labor by visiting localhost 8000. Open it in an incognito browser. So my server, I believe, is still running. So look, yeah, it is. When I go back in here, update, it might shine through. It has. Okay, this is it. Okay, so now it's looking a hell of a lot better, right? So we click here, it will allow us to now pick. Let's have a little look. It's going to users, Bobby, into development, decoding maybe. Let's go into decoding, backend, static, images. There we go. Let's go here. Look. Submit. Happy days. It's in there now. So we update. It's there. So it worked. Okay. We haven't got messages wired up or anything like that, but it worked. If I refresh the screen, it worked. So we changed the mod. So we've imported packages. We've changed the models, changed the views, changed the URLs, not necessary. Changed the templates, changed the static files. We're all good, right? So that has actually worked. I'm really, really happy with that. Let's go back into here. So that is module 9. Okay, so what have we done? Before I round it off, just drop me a like and a comment, subscribe to the channel, click the bell. It's all good. It helps out massively. So what have we done? We've added some new functionality to the user profile. So we're looking at images, files, right? So we're using image file, but there's no reason why we can't use a file input, which is just built into Django. We just handled it in the same way in the form and the same way into the templates. So we're now looking at images, and we've also then used a third-party package on the front end to render the image input in a much better way. It looks really, really nice. Okay, so I've just shown you how to do that. I hope it was useful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next module, module 10.